The 9210 injector flush, this apparatus, we got two styles of it. One, we've got the single canister. Basically what it's designed to do is hold one can of product. We've also got a 9210 LBC, which is a long body. It's designed to hold two cans of product. The LBC is the most popular of the two because it does hold two cans of product. The tool runs off air pressure. The tool is basically designed to do two things: to supply chemical for when you're using the 9206 tool to clean the plenum, or two, it's used to supply chemical, basically to replace the fuel tank on the vehicle when you're cleaning the injectors of a vehicle. When using the 9206 tool to clean the air intake, the plenum of the vehicle, basically what we want to do is we want to place the 9206 tool in front of the throttle plates of the air induction system. After we get it placed in front of the throttle plates, we want to put our product into our tool. The product that's normally used with the 9206 tool is 206. We want to put our product in the canister. We want to make sure that our vent's closed. Next thing what we want to do is put our air to our air regulator. After we get our air to it, what we want to do is we want to use our regulator, run our air pressure up to about 30 pounds. Get to 30 pounds. We want to turn our tool on. We're going to let it run for a couple seconds. We're going to let the car adjust to the chemical that's being introduced into the plenum. After the vehicle adjusts, we want to go ahead and run our regulator up to 60 pounds, 60, 65 pounds, and let it go ahead and do the service. While it's doing the service, about 2 to 3 minutes into the service, we want to run the idle up on the vehicle. We want to do that to help eliminate any of the vehicle loading up on the chemical or any puddling. We want to clear that out of the system. After the service is complete, after the chemical stops spraying out of our 9206 tool, we basically just want to come over here, we want to turn our tool off, and we want to let the vehicle sit there and idle for 15 to 20 minutes. The reason we want to let it sit there and idle for 15 to 20 minutes is, once again, to purge any leftover product that might be left over in the plenum and or the IEC motor. If you let the vehicle run idle for 15 to 20 minutes after that, it'll eliminate most problems that you'll have with doing this service. The 9210 is also used to clean the fuel injectors of the vehicle. When using the 9210 to clean the fuel injectors, the 9210 basically becomes the fuel tank of the vehicle. Using the appropriate adapter to hook up to the fuel rail of the vehicle, the appropriate adapter out of the 97800 kit, once you get hooked up to the fuel rail, what we want to do is we want to put our product into the tool. The tool that we normally use to clean the injectors is 210. Once we get the product in the tool, once again we want to make sure that our vent valve's closed. We want to put our air pressure, put our air source to the tool. What we're going to want to do is find out what the fuel pressure of the vehicle is. We're going to have to find out what the manufacturer's set fuel pressure of the vehicle is. Once you identify that, what we'll do is we'll run our regulator up. We'll run the pressure up. Say the fuel pressure is 35 pounds on the particular vehicle you're doing. We'll run it up to 35 pounds. We'll go ahead and open the ball valve on the bottom there, go in and start the vehicle. When the product's gone, the vehicle will die. That's how you know the service is complete. The 9210 has a filter on the bottom of the canister. You unscrew the bottom hose, this bottom nut, and there's a filter that'll come out with the hose. The main problem we have with the tool is that filter will get plugged up with dirt. How you know when that filter is plugged up is when you run the pressure up. To say you run it up to 30, 35 pounds, you only see 5 to 10 pounds of pressure on the bottom gauge. That tells you that your filter's plugged up. The filter's a wire screen. All you got to do is unscrew the bottom nut from the tool, take it apart, take brake cleaner, spray it all out, put it back together, and the tool should work just fine. The tool can either be used with the IV stand as you see here, or the tool can just be hung underneath the hood of the vehicle. The 9210 is fast and simple. We can do 2 services using the same apparatus. Let's go try it out. We're going to clean the fuel injectors on this vehicle. First thing what we want to do, we need to locate a spot to break into the fuel or into the fuel rail. Anywhere in between the fuel tank and the fuel rails where we want to break into the system. We got several different systems that we need to address. We got systems like this one that we're going to do that has a Schrader valve, and then we're going to cover systems like over there on that vehicle that doesn't have a Schrader valve. First thing what we want to do, since this does have a Schrader valve, we're going to get the appropriate adapter out of our 97-900 kit, and we're going to go ahead and hook up to the fuel rail. There should be some pressure on the fuel rail, so when you put your fitting on there, you're probably going to have some fuel coming out the other end. We're hooked up to the fuel rail. The next thing what we want to do is we want to set up our tool. What we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and put some product in it. We're going to use 1 can of 210. On higher mileage vehicles, we want to use 2 cans. Going to go ahead and hook the tool up to the adapter that we've got on the fuel rail. So since we didn't disconnect any lines, we've still got the feed line coming up to the fuel rail, and we still got the return line going back to the tank. So what we've got to do, when we pressure up this canister, what we got to do, we got to make sure that we're not going to put our chemical back to the fuel tank. So what we need to do, we need to start the vehicle and figure out what the fuel regulator is set at. After we figure out what the fuel regulator is set at, what we can do, we can adjust our tool, the air pressure to the tool, we can adjust it to where it's 5 to 10 pounds below what the regulator is set at. That way, while we're doing the service, the regulator will keep our chemical from going back to the tank. That way we can do the service without having to take any lines apart. So right now we're going to start the vehicle. You watch the bottom gauge, that'll tell us what the fuel pressure is.